Hi, I'm Jeremiah. Welcome to Up at Night. This podcast is all about learning from thought leaders, academics, and professionals based on one fundamental question: what keeps you up at night? Hello, everyone. Today I am joined by Marc Blais. Marc is a CPA. He's also an executive coach, one that I'm very happy to be coached by. Marc has a huge impact helping leaders all across Canada and entrepreneurs to unlock their full potential. I'm excited to have this conversation with you, Marc, and I'm so excited that we'll be able to share a bit of your journey with the rest of the audience. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Jeremiah. I'm happy to be here with you, for sure.
Wonderful. So, Marc, I want to dive right into it by asking you, what are your mission statement? Because you help a lot of business finding their own. What's your vision of coaching, and what drives you to really work with all these amazing people to unlock their full potential?
It's a very important question because people who doesn't have a real clear mission, they don't know where to go. So they go where the wind is bring them, and they follow the offers they get in their life. And they're not necessarily lost, but they feel they don't reach any goal. In fact, we never waste our time. But by going like that, one day we will reach our X. This is my answer. Finding our X is really the solution. So mine is helping somebody who has an impact on 1,000, which means helping leaders. Leaders, they have an impact on 1,000. And I love it because it's a way to me to select people I guide, people I help in their success. And these people are amazingly interesting and amazingly different because they're most of the time pretty clear about what they have to accomplish, and they're already motivated in their life, which is not a case of most of people on earth, I would say. So I have the privilege of backing these kind of people, this kind of amazing people who are entrepreneurs and leaders at different levels in the society.
That's true. That one thing entrepreneurship is impossible to attain certain degrees of success is if you don't have motivation. So that's true. You will be with people that are highly motivated, and then helping them canalize where to put that energy is the key. And you have an interesting journey. You've had an extensive career. You then decided to go into coaching, and recently, what I found extremely inspiring is also how you dive into running and fitness in particular. Please tell us a little bit about that journey as well.
So first of all, I was also an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for the last 40 years, I would say, as a CPA, as a president of a publicly traded mining company, and also by being a coach. So that's the same journey, I would say, that is continuing. And I've lived what I just mentioned about finding my X, finding my mission, and being clear about my mission, which is not really easy all the time because we have some cycles. What is a life cycle for a product? We
Yeah.
have the same as a person. So sometimes we start something new, we're very excited, we're not really competent. And later on, we become competent, more happy, and really we get results. And then we come in the third quadrant, sorry, where we become competent, happy, and then we want to stay there all our life because we're really what we call a balance. We are in a balance moment. But later on, what will going to happen is we are going to fall the cliff. Because if we don't change, if we don't adapt, if we don't find a way to do something different, we will fall in the fourth quadrant, and it's not really have done it. And I can tell you, it's not really fun. So the key to me is when we are in the third quadrant, being able to just think about what is coming for me, what is the next challenge, which brings me to your question about running. I love the idea of running because running is like life. We can decide to run at a certain speed. We can decide to run faster. We can decide to run longer. This is the way I took, because I'm not a fast runner. I really run slowly. So I like putting some obstacles on my road, which is, you know, running in a trail, running where you have rocks, water, and roots, and many obstacles, which is the same in life. And when I decide to run 50 kilometers, for example, I know the road would be tough, but I don't know in advance how tough it's going to be, because the weather has an impact. The environment is going to change. I don't know who will be with me. Like any goal you set for your life. So this journey of running started for me 4 years ago, when I was seated in my chair doing nothing but having pain in all my body. And I asked me this single question, which is, how will I be in 20 years if I don't change anything? And I didn't like my answer, which was more pain, less flexibility, less
Yeah.
quality of life, and I decided to start moving, which was very, very tough for me. So I took a coach, who helped me, encouraged me to do more and more. So I started by walking 10,000 steps per day, which looked impossible at the very beginning. And a year later, I ran my first 5 kilometers, which was just crazy because I haven't done it in my life. A few months later, like 5 months later, I got my first 10 kilometers. So I got almost crazy, because 10 kilometers is like running all the time. And this is
And
the
it's not
way I
like you,
see.
it's not like you were a runner when you were young. You really never ran
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. But is it being a runner if you run 1.7 kilometers 3 times per week? You're a runner, but it's not really,
Yeah.
I remember my numbers. I used to run when I was in my 20s and 30s, about 12 minutes 3 times per week. It's not being a runner for what I know today, for what I accomplished today. So after 10, I did my first half marathon, which was pretty painful. In a month and a half later, I did my first marathon, which was more than painful. It was really, I didn't know about nutrition. I didn't know about hydration. I didn't know about what happens in the body when you ask your body to endure some pain and to do more than before, which is very related to accomplishing our goals in life. You know, there are two ways to get an objective for a year. Like, we are in the beginning of the year, we decide, okay, what I'm going to accomplish this year. You
Mm.
can decide to do a bit more than last year, which is what most of people they do. I earned that money.
Yeah.
I want to do 5 or 10% more. You get some sales in your company, you want to get more too, and things like that. I want to lose 5 pounds and things like that. But if that's a way to establish goals, the other way that is more crazy and very other serious is just dreaming about something you want to accomplish without asking yourself if it makes sense or no, because your brain will give you some answers you don't like
You don't want
at
to know.
first.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't want to know that. So, and most of the time, by the way, your brain is lying to you, it's telling you things that will make you scary, and it doesn't help. So the very first step is, what what is your dream? What you would like to accomplish? So I did recently that exercises, and on the physical part, my goals is for 2025 running 100 kilometers. So I haven't done it. Immediately my brain tells me, Mark, it doesn't make any sense, because what I've done so far is 55, kilometers. So I haven't done it. I have no reasons to believe I can do it, but I have to convince myself that it's possible. This
Which
is
is
what
very
is
close to what entrepreneurship is.
exactly, exactly. So what kind of goal should we have? A goal that makes sense, that you know, If you have a go like 5 or 10% more, you may don't reach it and just, miss it by 3% and being happy, because you always will have reason to explain that why you missed it, because environment, political reasons,
Yeah.
competition, you were sick, you lost your VP, things like that. But if you put it like that, like very high, and you miss it by 20%, you don't care.
Yeah.
You don't care. You won. One of my goals in 2024 was to run 65 kilometers. I missed it. I got 49 kilometers in the mountains, it was just crazy. Conditions were tough, etc. I missed it by 20%, but it was my first 49 kilometers of my life. So if you missed an audacious goal, you win anyway.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
love about this approach. And, the risky part of that is if you share your goal with others, they may think and tell you that, you're crazy, doesn't make any sense, you're going to be injured, you're going to be stressed out, and you won't have time to take
Do this
advantage
or
of your
that. Yeah.
life. But what is success? What your success looks like at the end. And one day, if we're lucky, we're gonna get older and old, and you may have the occasion to ask yourself when you would be 90 years old, is it a success? Is this life a success or not? And if the answer is a list of things you haven't done, maybe you missed your life. This is what I don't want to see.
Yeah. You wanna push as far as possible. Now, a lot of entrepreneurs who have such audacious goal realize through time that it's very hard to be balanced when you do that. So how do you navigate between both of it? Because we know, as a matter of fact, that sometimes you have to push and sacrifice a lot to get there. And sometimes you realize you might have sacrificed a bit too much. So these are inevitable. These highs are high, the lows are low. How do you stay grounded, and how you absolutely also take care of your health? And what are the advice you would give to entrepreneurs about that?
If you love it, you don't sacrifice anything, and you never lose, even when you lose. It's a
Mm.
matter of making the right choices about people who surround you, right choices about, if you have a mindset of having to sacrifice things, you don't have the right goal. You know, when I go to run, when I go to the gym, which is something I don't like, but I love running, and to run better, I have to go to the gym. I
Mm.
don't have, the impression of sacrificing something. Tonight I'm going to the gym. This day has been pretty busy. In my plan, I had to go to jog. I will go to jog after this interview. I will go
Yeah.
to the gym tonight. Okay.
Yeah.
Next week, I would be in a training of 3 days. I would be outside the country for 5 days. So I won't have access to a gym. So I will do 2 days of gym today and tomorrow, and 2 days when I would be back on Thursday and Friday. I
Yeah.
will do what is necessary. And the other part of the question is about balance. For an entrepreneur, I don't think we should use the word balance, because balance means something like X hours with sleeping, X hours free, X hours, with friends, with family, etc. To me, it doesn't work like that for an entrepreneur. It works with
Mm.
harmony, not with balance. And then harmony has to be defined by yourself and how you feel. If being at the gym tonight is harmony for me, instead of being with my family, but having time to chat with my daughter and having free time with my wife tonight after the gym, is good for her, good for me, that's it. I got it. And I will be prouder of me if I do what is necessary to reach my goal, if I have that kind of, harmony and intensity in my life. Because the opposite is what? is missing something,
Mm.
missing the goal, missing your goal, and missing your life. That's pretty clear and simple. I don't know anybody has succeeded really in their life, working 30 hours, having free time for this, for that. And I'm not
Yeah.
against having holidays, having free time, having good lunch, having friends, etc. But, you know, that balance to me doesn't exist. We should look for harmony.
I like this. I like this because um, doing sacrifices is what makes the reward so much more precious and important. The bigger the sacrifices, the happier you are about the result. And I'm not talking about money there. And I totally agree with you on that aspect. Now let's talk about challenges because outside of sports, you've had an extensive career and you faced obstacle before and after becoming an executive coach that really tested your resilience. How did you push through it? How did you find your like you mentioned, your ex that made you confident you're making the right decision?
Well, first of all, life is there to challenge your ex. You know, that's my explanation. So sometimes, we have that goal, and we have many things happening that just challenge us about,
Yeah.
should I really work that hard to get it? Is that you know, and is there, I deserve it or not? Sometimes it's like the challenge could be that tough. This kind of challenges, I faced very strong bad markets when I was in the mining industry. Uh, Gold price was very low. Financing was about impossible. We were in very difficult situation, which is, the mining sector is very cyclical. And I was at that time, I remember I asked myself many times, should I just leave it? Should I, just do something? There
Mm.
are many possibilities. There are many things I can do. And to me, the answer was, this is what I love. You know, this challenge is on my path to teach me something, but I have to
Yeah.
learn from that. And I think I became a better leader because of these events. So I would say that sometimes there are some obstacles, very big obstacles. And the question we should ask us is, what is behind? What we have to learn in order to win. And the idea is winning, getting over, getting success is winning, getting the goal done.
Having things done. And talking about that, so there's a constant learning. Entrepreneurship to me is all about learning something you didn't knew yesterday that's going to help you make better decision. You've been training and helping a lot of leaders, but from your personal experience, what is something that got or that was significant enough for you to shift the way you coach or you approach personal growth?
I would say that most of issues are around mindset. What happens in
Mm.
my head that makes me thinking I'm wrong, I'm not good enough, this is too tough, I'm tired. So when you manage your thinking, you manage your life. This is what I've learned, and this is what I practice too. Practicing endurance sports is a way to me to learn about endurance, because that's exactly the same thing. The
Yeah.
path I'm following to run 100 kilometers, I mentioned earlier, is a way to me to learn, because there is a science of endurance, by the way. There is
Wow.
that science around that, and around the feeling we have that are most of the time false information that you bring gives you. So almost every time I start running, during the first kilometers, my thinking is, it's too tough, I should stop, sorry, a nice espresso is waiting for me at home, instead of enduring and
Yeah.
go ahead. And every time what happens is, after 20, 30 minutes, I run, I forgot I'm running. An hour later, I still run, and that's it, you know? And during a long race, like the last one I did, 12 hours, 50 minutes, there are parts of that are very tough. Something happens that made me uncomfortable, uh, unsure. The doubt came in, and I was like, well, what the hell I'm doing here? I was climbing the Bromo Ultra Mountain, and I was like, well, it's dark. It's 8 p.m. I'm like that, trying to climb that mountain, and I should stop and go out and go home and having a break and etc. But this was there to help me to change my mindset, to go over what I thought was possible. And that science of endurance, by the way, shows that when we think we're done, we're not done. We have at
Yeah.
least 30% more capacity in the battery. That's interesting. If you see runners arriving at the very end, it's always the same. You're done a kilometer before the end of the race. You're done. You cannot run. You have pain in your legs. Every step is very tough. And then you start to hear some noise coming from the
The
ending line,
crowd. Yeah. Yeah.
and then you're like, oh, wow, the end is coming. And then your legs are recovering like magically. And then you run for the last half kilometers. That's
Yeah.
so if you're really done, you cannot really realize
You
that.
can't continue.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and what happens is the day after you have some pain in the legs, but you're not at the hospital, you're not sick, you're not injured, you can walk, cannot run ideally, but you can walk, So that's why my thinking is many times is my brain is lying to me. So the truth is
Defense.
coming.
Yeah, it's a defense mechanism. They don't want. Why should you go through that if you don't have to? That's what your brain is there for, right? So.
Exactly. So when we face an obstacle, this is what happens. So we have to quickly first be aware about that
Mhm.
thinking and then change it for something positive. And if you have a big why, it goes well.
Talking about that, many entrepreneurs or leaders in enterprise and industries will face self doubt, uh, or call it the imposter syndrome. How do you experience those moments of uncertainty? How do you go through it, or even sometimes fuel them to grow your career?
If you don't have imposter syndrome, your goal is not big enough. That's that.
Okay.
That's very clear to me.
Okay.
It's natural if you have the competency to reach that goal, having that syndrome, because that's a way to that's you again, your brain that tells you that you're challenging yourself. You're
Mhm.
unsure, and because you're unsure, which is the very good news, because you're unsure, you're gonna push you in order to get the goal.
Yeah.
So this is very sane to get that reality that is, yeah, painful, because you feel you're not the right person, you cannot reach it, the others are better than you around you, and you don't understand why you choose to do that, to try to do that. But the reality is, if you don't doubt, your goal is not big enough first, and you won't succeed. Having that doubt is a way to push you, is a way to
Mhm.
tell you that you have to change something, to learn something in order to get your your
To get
your,
there.
your goal done. Yeah.
I'm curious, what would be at the moment the thing that keeps you up at night right now? Reflecting on your work, your goals, the challenge you faced and that you're going to face in the upcoming year. What's the thing that stays on your mind at the moment?
I sleep very well most of the time. It could happen sometime that I have some doubts, you know, and that's a signal to me to work on that, because if I doubt, really, just a little, it's not an issue because
Yeah.
it's pushing me. But if I am concerned, really, I have to work on myself. I have to change my mindset, and I have, tools in order to, go out of that thinking to make it fun and make it valuable. Fighting to reach a goal is something, but when it's valuable, you're ready to make all the efforts.
I agree. I think that's a good way of approaching it. If something keeps us up, learn
Another
something
thing,
about it. Yeah, yeah,
one other thing I could add is, when you want to reach a goal, it's never enough, because what happens for us entrepreneurs is, we work on a goal, we get close, we got it finally, and then
what's
we're like,
next?
okay, what's next? And
Yeah,
my what's next comes generally 15 seconds after I reach my previous
there you
goal.
go.
So there is no time to appreciate the moment. It's very short. So there is an exercise I'm doing based on the book The Gap in the Game from Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. And this exercise, I do it, about every night before sleeping. It's very simple. Is I'm asking myself, what are my 3 wins today? Then I get 3 wins in my head. So it makes me satisfied of myself. And when we have goals that need many months to be accomplished, being able to separate these goals in steps is a very good thing. So
Mm.
the gap being the difference between where I am and where I'm going, and the gain being the opposite, what I've done today that makes me proud, makes me happy, and makes me closer of my big goal.
Mark, as a coach, because you've been surrounded by amazing minds and amazing people, some who had great successes, some who had failures, but in my opinion, more importantly, you've seen people who are truly fulfilled and happy about what they're doing. So, what would be the single biggest advice you could give to someone who's hesitant to go into the entrepreneurial world or to launch their first venture? What would you tell them?
I would say dreaming intelligently. First, dreaming. Secondly, dreaming with not just a plan, with an emotion that comes with that. I can dream about many things, but what would be the impact if I succeed? So having
Mm,
good whys of, if I succeed, this is what is going to happen to me, to the others, etc. So there is an approach I use, which is, what is my goal and what will be the impact if I succeed, which means why I want that goal done, and it's interesting. See, if I take my 100 kilometers run, it's first, I love it because it's impossible for me. It's impossible. So there is a motivation of trying to do that. Secondly, I may have a positive influence on others who are
yeah.
like, this guy is 64 years old and he's going to run 100 kilometers. So I should maybe run 5, 10, 20, 50. I don't know, something. I may have that positive influence. And uh, thirdly, I would say that I have the impression of doing something that is similar to other goals in my life. So this goal will help other goals to be
Mm.
realized. To be so by having good reasons to succeed, it's not a selfish thing. It's a thing that makes sense for me, and because I have some values, and because there is an influence on other people.
So, find your why, really. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
amazing.
And why that makes sense. The some many whys that make sense for me. That
Yeah,
is, to me, that is my answer.
thank you. Marc, thank you so much for joining me today. If people would like to learn more about what you're doing, obviously, I'm grateful you decided to join me and jump on this podcast in English. But you're very active in the province of Quebec. I think LinkedIn is probably the best way to reach you, as well as your website. So I think it's Marc Blais Coach Executive on YouTube. On LinkedIn, it's Marc Blais. Is there anywhere else people could or should look for you?
That's it. My website again is marcblais.com. So very easy to find.
Wonderful. Well, Marc, thank you once again for joining me today, and I hope to see you very shortly in the near future.
Thanks a lot, Jeremiah.
Thank you so much for being part of the Up at Night family. If you've liked what you heard today, don't forget to rate, follow, subscribe, or leave me a comment below. New episodes of Up at Night drop every week. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a single episode. I'm Jeremiah Curvers. Until next time.